So I just wanted to talk about Netflix documentary. I do not enjoy most of the content on Netflix because it just is so triggering to Tomasic energies, which is in yoga terms very low level, sort of low energy sort of level that I do not enjoy having in my life. However, I was drawn to the case of this murder trial that took place with the mother's name was Lori Veller or something. She was part of a cult, actually, some sort of a very small cult. And her children disappeared, and everybody in the US wanted to know where are the children. And of course, everything that happens in the US and is also becomes a part of world interest. Where are the children? It was a small boy called JJ. I believe he was 7 or 8, and he was special needs. He was on the spectrum, and the girl was a teenager called Tylee, bubbly, very sweet girl. And they had a very interesting life story that came together in this documentary on Netflix. Sorry that it escaped me the name. I will try to post it. Um, and the one pulling the strings in this documentary is the son that she did not kill, whose name is Colby. And I'll tell you, I really don't like all these crime shows, but something about these stories brings you to higher places, and that is the son called Colby. I mean, he came from such a horrific background. The woman was married, I believe, 4 times, and first she got pregnant when she was a teenager, and I don't remember if she got married because of that. But then she married another man, and turns out the man was abusing Colby. That's the father of Tylee, I guess. And oh, what a horrible story. So she left him, thank God. And Colby has these scars for his whole life. If that wasn't enough, she married a third man who later she somehow was involved in his killing. And that man was trying to warn people. Started to get into all these, I'm using the word religious carefully, started to believe, going a lot to all kinds of sect activity. And it started with the Mormon church, but then it kind of went off to sort of a sect. And she started to talk badly about her husband. And she did some weird things. And somehow her brother got involved in shooting him. And afterwards, the brother died also. And then her brother, one of her family relatives, there was an attempt to kill him as well. And things started to go really crazy. Then at one point, the children disappeared because the grandparents were very loving and very involved, were asking where are the children, because the grandfather and the grandmother had a relationship with the grandson. And I don't believe it was actually her biological child. I think she and her third husband adopted the son of his brother because he couldn't raise him. And he was the sweetest child ever from the videos. He was just so sweet. And the grandparents were so in love with him, but they thought they were too old to raise him. So they seemed like a nice enough couple. And she had a lovely daughter, and Colby as well was involved. Colby's a lovely young man. I don't know how old he is. He's in his 20s at the moment. Such a beautiful soul, and he got involved in that. And it's a fascinating documentary that has a lot of interviews, and there's so much information that it's hard to make sense of it. And the police was sent by the grandparents to look for the children, especially the grandson who had special needs and used to come to the grandparents, and the police didn't find him. The parents were in Idaho at the time, and they were gathering food also for Day of Doom, Doomsday kind of cult thing going on. And she got her niece involved, I believe, or some family member, and things were getting a bit weird. And the man she got involved with, Daybell, published a lot of books, which shows you how publishing books doesn't mean anything. And he managed to gather a lot of people and he had all these ideas of dark and light people. And then they found this most bizarre document where they rated people, family members specifically, according to dark or light. So fortunately for Colby, came out light, but her beautiful, sweet daughter came out dark, and it just really gives you the shivers. So everybody was looking for the children. Where are the children? The grandparents posted a reward for whoever has information leading to finding the kids, and they just had no clue. Luckily, the police has experts that are very good at analyzing information, and somehow they got hold of the phone of somebody who was the victim of these people, obviously, although they need to still prove it in court. And so they left a trail of dead bodies. First, there was this the husband, the third husband was killed. And I don't know how she avoided facing charges on that one. And then there was the wife of Daybell. They very shortly after her death and getting money from the insurance, they got married in Hawaii, I believe. She's very sad because it was a place where the children, Colby and Tylee and JJ, loved to go to. They spent time in Hawaii, and then all of a sudden they moved there. No children. And she just didn't say where the children were. And funny that, well, not funny, but odd that they couldn't get any information about the children. Colby was very, very attached to them, and he, the red light was on thanks to Colby realizing he had no contact with them anymore. They were not responding. And so at one point, the police got involved, and they did an investigation that led to a very bizarre, this is trigger warning, I will put trigger warning. It is very sensitive, very, very, very disturbing details. But there was like a pet cemetery involved, and thank God they have the answers, all I'm saying, because thanks to police investigation, data analysis, they were able to trace the remains of those children, those poor children. What I wanted to say is I don't enjoy crime shows, but what you can get out of it is that this Colby is such a dear soul. He had a wonderful wife. He has a wonderful wife and a child. And then we have to remember that children that have these horrible parents like him, he has this horrible mother. Horrible. There's no words to describe how evil that person must be to have collaborated with this evil man to take the lives of these innocent souls, and especially a special needs child. And the details are horrific. I won't burden you with it, just to say that it did involve some sort of ritualistic, or I don't know what they did to that poor boy, but I just don't understand how anyone could live with themselves or get to that level of evilness. But I think mental illness is definitely involved, specifically delusions, paranoid, and it makes me think that we really have to be careful when it comes to religion, because there's so many people that become very nasty, violent, whether it's verbal violence, whether it's going on the internet and speaking badly about people they don't know. They don't know these people, but just because they think that religion says they're evil. So it's sort of projecting their own negativity onto people they don't even know, just because they decided that according to the religion, these people are thought of as evil. Instead of not judging people you don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of doing judging here by the very clear case of evil doings when a mother has harmed her own children in such horrific ways, and in the name of some sort of cult, doomsday cult, that she was dragged into or dragged herself into, or I don't know, she just seems to get a kick out of the idea that she is some superior being. I don't know, some sort of very disturbed mental problems, narcissism, paranoia, schizophrenia, talking to angels. And there's too many people around, especially on social media, that supposedly have they're like connected to God. They have like a direct line to God. And it's interesting that they're always like chosen for some reason. They're chosen by God to speak. There are prophets, there are all sorts of roles they take on. And let me tell you quite clearly what I think about religions. Religions can very easily go into these dark areas of being being judgmental of others, being nasty to other people just because they live a different lifestyle than you think is moral. And, you know, I take this, who shall cast the first stone? People that blame other people for being evil usually have to look within themselves because usually they're projecting. My mother used to say, a camel always sees the other camel's hump. And I see that a lot. I see that a lot on social media. Like you can't go on TikTok without seeing all these people speaking badly about certain groups, whether it's gay people, whether it's trans, whether they're people that don't accept certain religious ideas. And you must ask yourself, really, seriously, why people think they are in a higher place than others. What makes them feel they're superior to other people, that they can look down at other people, or they can commit crimes in the name of God, whether it's killing because God doesn't like people that do not follow that particular religion. I'm talking about specifically radical Islam that thinks that Jews have no right to live and it's okay to murder, even though the Ten Commandments clearly say, thou shalt not kill. They seem to not accept the idea that the foundation of the monotheistic religions is the Ten Commandments. So if you lie, cheat, commit adultery, speak evil of others, and kill, and killing is also by speaking evil of others. I'm not saying I'm a person who never does anything because I'm aware of the fact that I need to work on my own self and being less judgmental. But, you know, that documentary really opened my eyes into realizing that people that come from very, very evil families where there's child abuse, where there's a mother that is completely narcissistic and doesn't care about the children and actually acts in violence towards family members and just drags her children through one crazy marriage to another, you can still come out. You can still come out and become a loving father, as this Colby, a loving husband, and have a loving wife and a beautiful daughter who's quite innocent. And we should never judge people because of the families they come from, because you can have people coming from the most horrific backgrounds and they still strive for higher places and for higher energies, and they really do not deserve to be judged.